We are starting with an Asmongold video. Today is a day of Asmongold. Which isn't true, it's just one video. It's about IDubbbz's boxing event charity thingy. Let's get started.
So with the Creator Clash event, they were going to take and pocket 34%. No wonder this fucking thing had problems. 34% amount of money. That's crazy. So there's a lot of people that are wondering, where did the money...
35% is a lot for a charity to take. Unless you know other charities that take actually more. But those are international charities, like, you know, Greenpeace and things like that, where you give money and 90% is, you know, deciding where the money is going. Yeah, things like that. So I'm not 100% surprised here.
Go at all. IDubbbz actually made a statement about this himself, apologizing, and he says, I want to clear some things up now that Nisa and I are no longer part of Creator Clash. When I announced Creator Clash 3 and its new business model, the communication wasn't clear.
So new business model, okay. That's what he says.
Looking back on my video and the current reaction, it's obvious it was too vague. It remains true that I earned the fight purse for Creator Clash 1, of course, but we did not profit at all from Creator Clash 2. After Creator Clash 2 failed to raise any money from the charity we knew, it at the time was a different business model. We restructured it so the funds for our charity partner would be raised on Tiltify separate from the actual event. We then decided for this year we would take a profit share from the for-profit side of the event should the for-profit side of the event succeed. So this is a very important component that a lot of people need to understand about.
Yeah, these are two different things. You have one side of the tournament that is non-profit, and the other side there's for-profit. They don't touch the non-profit thing. So there are two separate things. Now I don't know what these separate things are, but when they are separate things, they are separate things. And then they can work with the for-profit thing the way they want. They seem fit. That's completely fine. But I guess there is a but coming.
Charity events is that the majority of these charity events are not completely charity events, and a lot of the people, like even like bands that play at charity shows to like raise money for cancer, a lot of them end up getting paid by brands by doing that. So they're often, and that's not even really a bad thing, but
yeah, that's not necessarily a bad thing, because you know they're spending time. This just, the event is for charity. That doesn't mean that the people working there don't get paid. I mean, if you do a charity event and you have security, the security gets paid. They aren't there just, you know, because of their good hearts of the good hearts. I mean, they have to pay bills. If you do security and you work for minimum wage, you want to get paid. You don't just do that. Unless it's something small for, I don't know, your church, mosque, or whatever. And they do a charity event, then you might want to do it for free. But a big event, no. Why would they? Makes no sense. Of course they want to get paid.
it's something that's like really important to keep in mind, because some people view charity as this like kind of universal good thing, and that's not exactly what's happening in this circumstance. They still got to eat. Yeah, you've got to eat as well, of course, but the thing is 34% of the profit is an insane piece. Like think about this, right? You have probably over 100 people working on this event. And that's the pizza, right? The pizza's got to be divided between 100 people and also the fighters and everybody else. And they're taking I almost did it again. 34% of the pizza. That's a lot of fucking pizza, guys. That's crazy. That's an insane amount. And so, yeah, slice it up. Yeah, that's a...
He's right. If you would divide the pizza into, 100 pieces, if 100 people work there, you divide the pizza into 100 pieces. They take 35, which basically means 35 other people don't get anything. Of course, that's not how it is with money, but you get the gist of it, right?
Very, very huge amount. I feel sorry for any confusion Anissa and I caused. We know the event is in good hands now, and we wish it all success. So basically, you spent all the money on room. Anissa and Hassan had sex in. Okay. So what percentage is actually going to charity from the actual charity event? No refunds. And was it 34% just for you and another 34% for Anissa? I mean, I don't know, but it definitely makes him look really, really bad. So Ludwig talked about this as well. I mean, he's been kind of moving away. Ludwig has moved away from drama, but, not really entirely, right? You can never leave. Here we go. Let's listen to it.
A little drama is never bad. I mean, look at my channel.
So funding it through various sponsorships, but mostly ticket sales and...
So it was a scam? I feel like that has to be like the worst faith interpretation. I think if an event is successful and raises $1.3 million for charity on their first go around,
yeah,
their big plan isn't like, oh my God, and this next time we run it, we're going to make, money for ourselves. Now
that was the plan though, right? Because didn't they say that?
We've raised $1.3 million for charity. Now we get to make some.
If they said so, that's scummy. You either do a charity event, if you are a public figure, you either do a charity event for the charity, or you do, or you don't. Because if you don't, that's really bad for your career. I would never do that. But that's me, right?
Money of our own.
Uh-huh.
You would just take the 1.3 million.
Well, no, because it was there were two separate funds, right? And so, like, the fund that they make for profit and the fund that they raise for charity, these are separate funds, and Ian even confirmed that. So I'm not even sure really where this is coming from.
The first go around. Like, 1.3 mil is a lot of money, bro. That's hella bread.
Not really, not for a big event like that. I mean, whenever...
Yeah, if you have big events, you have so many costs that you have to figure out how to pay. That 1.5 million, that's not a lot. You can't, for example, you can't rent a stadium for that money and run an event there. That's you can't, not for that money. It's not enough, not even close.
You have a huge event like that and you have 100 people on payroll and you have tons of creators, only making $1.3 million isn't enough money. Like, you could have done 50 other things that would have made way more money than that. I mean, honestly, like, that's the truth. And anybody who knows...
Yeah, they could have done a random stream and said, this is for charity. Here's the link where you can give money. That would have likely made us much money while having way lower costs, basically zero. And that would have brought, even if the amount they make, if you just do a charity stream, you can give way more money because there's way more money overhead that you have because your costs are way lower.
Business knows that. I mean, that's it. Do you think charities should be audited more frequently? Well, that's not what's happening, right? It's not about the charity. It's about the way that they handled the event and the way it was portrayed.
So I feel like you're just not... If you're looking at it in a vacuum, yeah, I think you could call that a scam.
Okay.
But you're ignoring the context of the first one that was hella successful.
Well, but isn't this also ignoring the context of the second one that was hella unsuccessful? So if the second one was hella unsuccessful, and then like, well, and here's also another big question, right? Is that why is it that you're doing a third one if the second one didn't make any money? Well,
That's actually a really good question. So if both didn't make any money, why do a third? There has to be something going on that we don't know about.
it's like I don't understand that. How does that happen? How does that work? So like, if you're not making any money, what the fuck? Why would you even do it again? Let me go back. I'll listen to another part of this too. He talked about it a little bit more.
Running right now.
Is money paid not towards charity until event costs are paid? Yeah, but presumably. Because where else is the money coming?
Well, yeah, that makes sense. You have to pay the staff you have. You have to. I mean, that's literally the law. And then you give them the money you have over to the charity. Now 1.5 million, that is not a lot for a big event. I mean, just renting wherever you have the event, that costs a lot of money. Like a lot. A lot.
From. And I guess, do you guys consider that a scam?
Yes. It's misleading. If you tell people that their money is going towards a charity, you should have a separate fund where money is raised from a charity that is separate from the event costs. And if the event doesn't make money and you take it out of the charity, and it goes into what really matters, I think, in this conversation is the idea of consent. And consent is something that a lot of people, especially in business, don't really fully understand. I'm not saying Ludwig doesn't understand it, but I'm just saying this is my frame of reference and this is how I understand it, is that when a person spends money on an event that is advertised as it being for charity, they would assume that at least a good portion of that money would go towards the charity. And if that's not happening, then these people are going to be misled, and there's going to be a lot of bad faith that's going on. I don't see how anybody doesn't understand that. More than half, yes, obviously. And so, like most of it, and so if people put all of their money towards charity, or they buy tickets and they support an event because they say, and this is also true as well with the other boxers, right? Even Alana talked about this yesterday, is that if you're supporting an event and you're participating in an event because you want to have the money to go for charity, but then all of the money just goes for paying the operating expenses, well, then you effectively took all of these people's time and you misused it because you didn't allocate the money in a way that they thought that their time was being spent allocating the money towards.
That's also a big part. If the people that are participating in the event actively go there without pay and just go there because they want to do something good, guess what? People like that exist. And then they find out, yeah, that's not happening. That's bad. You just ruined your reputation with these people and they don't come back. I wouldn't. And another thing for the cost for the event, well, if you do an event like that and you want to give away all the money the event makes, how about paying the event out of your own pocket? That's also a thing that you can do, which they obviously didn't do, and that's why we are here.
So, like, yeah, I actually really think it's that simple. Like, if people are buying something and they think their money is going to something, and then it doesn't at least mostly go to that, I think that a lot of people understand that every charity does not operate at a 100% loss, right? Like, many of them have operating expenses, there's administration expenses, and there's a spectrum of this, right? And some of it is good, some of it is bad, but you're going to need to have at least some of it. So when I hear people talking about this, ultimately you have a situation where people are spending money on something and their money isn't going where they think that it's going. And here's another even more important question, and this goes back to the idea of consent, is that if they had known that their money would not go to these charities and it would go completely to paying off the event first, would they have still bought the tickets? And the question really isn't on an individual level, but on a mass level. Is that actually something that would happen? I think less people would buy tickets. And can we agree that less people would buy tickets if they knew that, you know, there's a probability or a possibility that none of the money will go to charity, right? A chunk would not. And so again, so basically now we've entered into the realm and we've created the foundation that people are buying tickets on a false premise that if it was communicated in a way that was properly explained, would have not made a purchase. So based off of that, you have now told a person that's giving you money that they're going to get something that they're not going to get.
So fundamentally, don't lie to the people that give you money when it comes to charity, unless you have the press and politicians in your pocket. I'm not gonna say who would do that. I don't say that because I don't want to get in trouble. But if you want to know, just Google it. There's plenty of documentation out there.
That's a problem. That's a big problem. And it's literally that simple. So fraud, it's not see, like, the word, like, I agree with Ludwig. This isn't fraud. This isn't I can take you to court for this. This is mismanagement and just shitty. It's not fraud, it's just shitty. It's unethical, yeah. And it's not even unethical, it's just, it's misleading. You could say maybe unethical, but that's it. You really do have to look at the fine print. The fine print doesn't matter to me, because the reason why it's in the fine print is because they don't want people to read it. That's why it's so small. So if the
That's what they always do. They put the important things in the fine print so you don't read it.
Fine, if your general message communicates one idea and the fine print contextualizes that idea and diminishes it, you are actively, again, working to mislead people. And that's, again, that's how I base all of my decisions off of. Are you acting in good faith? And if a person had full understanding of the nature of this agreement, would they have still spent the money? And if the answer is no, then you are not acting in good faith. Am I crazy? I feel like this is so simple. Yeah, I don't know what to say. Duh.
It is simple.
Yes, of course. It's fine. Yes. Okay, anyway, let's move on.
Is the money coming from? And I guess, do you guys consider that a scam?
Yes.
Because to me, that makes sense. That's
I
how
think an average person would consider that a scam. Is it a scam in terms of, like, money, right? Is it a legal scam? Should somebody go to jail for this? I don't think anybody needs to go to jail for this, but yes, I think it is. People would perceive it as a scam.
it should operate. Now, obviously, messaging matters. Like, if you have tickets and you say all proceeds go to charity, and then it's actually like, well, they go to charity after costs. Like, that has to be clear when you purchase.
Yeah.
But,
Yeah. Okay. So then you agree? Yeah. Exactly.
I think people are huge. What's the word, man? Aggrandize. What's the word when people are like fake higher than thou? Idiots, not. I feel like people get real bad faith or virtue signally when it comes to charity stuff. Yeah, maybe grandstandy. I don't know the exact word, but I feel like when the word charity is hit, people are like, heavens, and everyone acts like every act of charity needs to be some higher than thou act that is selfless. And maybe I'm cynical, but I think that's dumb. And I think charities also understand that that's dumb.
It is dumb, because you always have costs no matter what you do. You can minimize those costs, but there will always be costs. It's like, if you have a charity that's run by a TV station, whatever it is, they have costs. How do they get these costs paid? Advertisement. the show gets paid via advertisements in the ad breaks, and the money that the viewers give go directly to the charity. I would guess that's how TV stations would run it. But that's assuming they aren't a greedy bunch of dicks. So we can never know. But that's what I would say TV stations run it. So there's always making money involved.
And most incredibly successful charities understand that it's a business and things need to be able to operate not just one time, but consistently.
Yeah, but the problem is that if your business, here's the thing, right? Is that if your charity is a business first and a charity second, and people find out about that, don't be surprised when less people want to donate. And the issue is that their business model wasn't effective. And so basically they had an ineffective business model, and then because of their ineffective business model, they decided to put in a clause that allowed them to keep making money, even if their business model didn't deliver in the way that it was supposed to, because that's what happened last time. So they basically knew that the event might not make money, because that's what happened in Creator Clash 2. And so they locked in and secured money for themselves for Creator Clash 3. And the reason why it's problematic is because nobody knew this was going to happen. Nobody knew anything about this. Part of being tax exempt is that your primary purpose is to alleviate the government in some way. So the primary purpose becomes business, you lose tax exempt status. Yeah.
Many times. And the only way to do that is if it doesn't burn a bunch of money along the way. So if you're doing an annual event, but you lose $100,000 doing it, even if you raise $50 million for charity, you can't do that forever, because you're losing money. Money has to come from somewhere. And
of course it has. Otherwise you go bankrupt and then you can't do anything anymore. Well, yeah, of course. You have to have a positive balance. Oh, what's he gonna say?
Change the business model.
Yes.
Change the business model and be upfront with the people that are spending the money. Like, I see what he's saying. I understand what he's saying. But at the same time, the problem is the proportion and the ratio. I think if you raised $50 million and you took $100,000 to pay for the event, nobody would care, because proportionally, that's like 0.001 or 0.2002%, right?
He's completely correct. No one would care. No one would care. As long as you pay out money to charity, no one cares. And of course, the people want as much money as possible to go to the charity, percentage-wise. But that's not always possible. It always depends on the concept.
It's like nothing. So the issue isn't necessarily that amount of money. It's the fact that you're doing it and people don't know that, and it's the proportion of the money that's being spent and then reallocated. So, for example, there are a lot of charities that are able to reallocate money in an effective way. And, like, there's a big difference between reallocating 95% of the money and 35% of the money. And in general, like, here, let me ask you guys a question. If you knew that you were donating to a charity and the event was going to take 35% of the proceeds and give it to charity, how many of you guys would donate to that? And then how many would you donate to one that was giving 85%, let's say, or 75%? People generally, and by the way, this is so true that there is a website, and there are multiple websites, charity percentage administration website. Let me see if I can just get this right. Charity Navigator. And so there's multiple websites about this. Nonprofit data for donors, charities and nonprofits, charity ratings. And so a lot of these here, and, Discovery Charity Lists, cost-effective organizations. This is an extremely popular concept that basically everybody seems to understand. So USAID, well, no, obviously, like USAID is part of that. I mean, sure, but like in general, people understand operation costs. When you actually try to turn a charity into a profit event, it's highly contentious. And that's also another thing, is that whenever you're looking at a profit share, that is a very different component that whenever you're talking about just making the costs back. I think that people understand even making your costs back, but not an additional profit share on top of that.
People I don't think realize
Yeah.
is sometimes that gets a little dirty. Like if you look, I've been offered from charities. They'll offer you like 20K. They'll pay you to run an event in exchange to raise money, hoping to hit an expectation of return.
Yes. Of course. Yeah. And I've done that too. And there's nothing wrong with that. There's not a problem with that. It's just it should be communicated and explained clearly to the person who's donating.
Exactly. That's a problem. The communication. If the viewers know what's going on, then they know what's going on. There's no traps, no nothing like that. And there's no bad blood when it comes out afterwards, because there's no afterwards. They know, if people know upfront what's going on, then they are fine with almost everything. As long as you give the most money to the actual cause. It's as simple as that.
That's all there is to it. Yeah. It's different. No, and that's the thing. We did that with soft giving. Sure. Absolutely. But that was communicated, it was established, and it was explained. And so there's not an issue there, because the money is being explained in a way and is being given in a way that the person who's giving it understands what they're getting. It's being transparent. Exactly. The problem is not that you're doing it in any one way. It's about your being transparent. So exactly. Yeah, I did see 34% of the money. Again, I feel like this is just going to keep getting worse for them. And how much did you bag? None, actually. It was an OTK thing, and so I didn't make any money off of any of it. And even the money that I personally, so whenever I did the charity events, right, these were things that were in collaboration with Soft Giving, and they basically like, so a lot of companies, and this is generally like what happens, right, is that what companies do is that they set up charity events because it makes the company look good, right? Companies think that donating to charity will make them look good, and to be fair, I think they're right. It does.
It does, and that's the only reason they're doing it. Now, there are some exceptions, but those are small companies that actually do it because they believe in doing something good. But all the big companies, the really big ones, it's all publicity, all of that. You can't trust them. Never.
So we had Progressive, and I think we had like another car insurance place that was sponsoring it. So the car insurance sponsor pays for the content creator to raise money for the charity. Now, there were some weird issues with soft giving, and honestly, there was a guy that put out a report about it. I think his name was Jacob Wolf. A lot of what he said was true, and honestly, you know, there's a reason why we don't work with them anymore. I can't say any more about that because they were very litigious about it. If that company ever dissolves and they no longer exist anymore, I will tell the entire story about it. But they were, I'm just going to say, fuck it. They were deceptive. They were deceptive. And if I had known that, we would have never engaged with it. I'll say that right now. It was deceptive. I didn't understand what was happening, and that's what it was. And so scamming practices, yes. And I couldn't... Jacob reached out to me whenever the article was written, and I was still involved with OTK at the time, and so I couldn't speak about it with him, but it made me very uncomfortable. But anyway, and so, yeah, did you just say that? Yeah, I did. I mean, that's the truth. That's the truth of what happened. But the reality also is that a brand is paying for a certain amount of money as well. It's messed up. No, it was. And again, like the guys, I don't want to, look, as I said, I really try my best to not get sued. And so if the company that they were operating as ever fully dissolves, I will tell the entire story. I will give everything. And the funny thing is that if, like, for the events that we did, the ironic thing, actually, I can say this.
Oh, here we go. Okay. Yeah, I'm blueballing you. Yeah, I know. You don't like it, right?
Everybody actually got what they wanted, and they got what they put their... Oh, fuck. Jesus. I'm trying to say it in the right way. Oh, man. Stop talking. Don't. Be careful. Yeah, I'm just trying to think of the right way to do it, bro. Don't. I mean, if they sue me, I'll stream the trial. Okay, how about that? I promise. If I get sued, I'll stream the trial. So, basically, the way that our deal was authentic and accurate, but it was other deals that were problematic as well. And so, and that's the only thing that I'm going to say. And so the money that you guys spent actually did go in the right place, but there was a second thing that happened that was separate from us that was kind of another issue. And so anyway, have it? Yeah, clearly. And anyway, as long as you did your part with good intention, you're good. Yeah, exactly, right? And so, like, having a sponsor for a charity event is totally fine. That my point is that having a sponsor for a charity event is totally fine. Like, I did this before, and, like, I did donate, whenever I donated my own money for, like, the Ukraine thing or the Games for Love thing, that came out of my personal account. Like, I spent money... And ultimately, I never got that money back, right? I never got paid for these events. I never had any of that happen. This was all for the org, right? And so, like, I spent that money. That was my own money. And, you know, that's really about it. Yeah, lots of chat donated. I know I did. So you won't do charity anymore? I would do charity, but... I would do a charity event, but... I think this is the way that I would look at it, is that... I don't think that I would ever do another paid charity event unless I was able to understand every single nuance of it. And that would require me to have access to contracts between parties that I'm not a part of. And I don't think that would ever happen. So in general, like, I would be fine participating in something like that because, like, who cares? But I wouldn't want to engage myself directly in it. Does that make sense? Yeah, due diligence next time? Yeah, exactly, right? And so, anyway, so basically never. Well, I would work directly with a charity, and I would make sure all the money went directly to that website in a very specific sense. I would not try to work through a third party or do anything else similar to that unless it was an established third party that had all of their rules that were extremely transparent. Like, I'll just say that, right? And again, I don't want to get into specifics. I don't want to get into any more of that, but...
Again, the important thing, transparency. If you want to give money, if you want to get money from people for charity, you have to be transparent. And if you want to give money to a charity, you always look for someone that's transparent. The moment you smell something fishy, you leave. And you should. You don't want to get scammed.
Now that I'm not involved with the org anymore, and, you know, this is kind of water under the bridge, just... It is what it is. Let's just say that. It is what it is. Let's move on, yeah. And so, ranting time? Yes, ranting time is over, okay? And so that's it. The only way to learn... Yeah, exactly. Don't get sued, bro. I know. It is what it is. And so, anyway... It's easier to contact a charity directly to help organize the event. Yeah, and that's what I would do myself. But, and I do think that also in the same way that whenever that soft giving article came out, a lot of people were really angry at us and angry at the other people who were involved because they didn't understand what was happening. I think, again, this is the same thing as well, because we didn't understand it, but also they did. That, like, the Creator Clash, I mean, like, do you think they didn't know they were making 34% profit off of this? Of course they did, because they weren't doing it through a third party. It was their own event. And so that's the reason why people feel like they were deceived and misled. So, yeah, that's it. Honestly, I think you're most honest streamer on the, unironically, I think you're most honest streamer on the platform. I try to be, right? The only times that I lie and...
Personally, I think so too. He's at least one of the most honest. I mean, there's Kirsche, you know, Kirsche Wehrstahl. She's goddamn honest. Yeah, okay, Pippa isn't streaming on Twitch anymore. But yeah, definitely. If I would think about honest streamers, I would think of Asmongold and Kirsche. Absolutely.
I don't fully tell the truth are times where it would negatively affect another person or it would hurt somebody. Because other than that, I do try to tell pretty much exactly what happened and be as honest as possible with people and just let them know, like, yeah, this is what it was.
Yeah. Again, a video where I absolutely agree with Asmongold. Who could have guessed that I agree with the guy who I basically copy when it comes to content? Who could have guessed? Oh god. Okay.